Welcome to another video, and today I want us to solve this assignment. And so in this assignment, the question starts by saying that in figure 3, area M N R Q is a windscreen, and then there are two wipers. So E1F1 is on the passenger side. So E1F1 moves from this side. Sorry, E1F1. Let me increase it a little. So E1F1 moves from this side to this side on the passenger side, and then from here to here. And then G1, let me change it. G1, and then G1, G2 also move from here to here at the driver side. So they are saying that we should design a mechanism that will move these wipers from position 1 to this position 1. This is position 1 to position 2, position 2. We should design um, a mechanism that will do that work. Okay. So first of all, to do the mechanism, we are going to draw a line from E1 to E2 and then from F1 to F2. You join this with a straight line, and then you join this also with a straight line. Okay. And now you bisect E1, E2. Bisect E1, E2. Bisect E1, E2. Bisect this and then this. So you are going to get a line like this. I'm going to get a line like this. Let me erase that. So now we have the perpendicular bisector. We have the perpendicular bisector of line E1, E2, and then F1, F2. Let me draw this line very well. So it should be a straight line. Okay, so now you've gotten the perpendicular bisector of. So here is E2, E1, and then we bisect F1, F2. So that one too, you draw your perpendicular bisector here, and then you join a line to pass through the 2 points. So something like this. Okay. So this is what we are going to get. So this line is also F1, F2. So the point where they intersect, you are going to go at that point 04. So after getting 04, we join. This point is too close. It's too close to the 04 is too close to F1 and then F2. Just because I'm using a rough sketch. So in actual sense, 04 should be around this side. So let me try and bring that point down a little. Okay. Let me draw this line again. So it should intersect around this point. Yeah. That should be the perpendicular bisector of F1, F2. So F1, F2 should intersect somewhere here, and then you call that point 04. And then you join F1 to 04 with a straight line, and then you join F2 to 04 with a straight line. So after joining these 2 points, we are done with the mechanism. So now we are going to add a diode. So to add the diode, you are going to measure the angle from here to here. In the question gave us it says there is a constraint for adding the diode. The diode should be placed horizontally. The crank and the coupler of the diode should be horizontal. They should be aligned horizontally. So in that case, we are going to draw a vertical line. Let me use a red pen. So a red pen. You're going to draw a vertical line. If you want the diode to stay horizontally, or if you want the diode uh, to be horizontal or to be aligned horizontally, you have to create a vertical line. And if you want the diode to align vertically, you draw a horizontal line. So we want the diode to be aligned horizontally with respect to um, this space here. You want the diode to stay in this space, KRST. So we draw a vertical line through this angle, a vertical line. Okay, so we've done that. And now you measure the angle from here to here. You measure the angle from F1 to F2. So you measure angle um, F104 F2. You measure that angle. So let's say you get 100 degrees. You divide 100 degrees by 2. And then, so 100 degrees by 2, you are going to get 50 degrees. And then you place your protractor on this vertical line. You align your protractor on it like this. So you see, so you are going to align your protractor on it like this. And then you ensure that this vertical line is in line with the 90-degree mark. You ensure that this vertical line is in line with the 90-degree mark. And then when we divided this angle here, and when we measured that angle, we got 100 degrees. So F104 F2 is 100 degrees. So you divide 100 degrees by 2, you get 50 degrees. And then from that 90 mark, here is 90 degrees. You measure 50 degrees to the left, or 50 degrees to your right, and 50 degrees to your left. So let's say I get 50 here, I get 50 here. And now I remove my protractor, and then I'll draw a line from here to pass through that point I made. So the reason why we are doing this is just to align the to add a diode, but we want to add a diode in such a way that the diode will be aligned horizontally. The diode is going to be aligned, the coupler and the crank of the diode will be horizontal. That's why we are doing this process or taking this step. Okay, so now you open your compass to any arbitrary radius, and then you draw an arc. You make an arc over here, and you make an arc over here. So this angle, the angle from here to here, is the same as the angle from here to here. Yes. So you draw a straight line to pass through your arc. So draw a straight line to pass through them. So now I'll label in the question. The question says that the diode should be placed at O2. So now we want to add a diode. We've measured any arbitrary length, or we've taken any arbitrary radius, and then we made an arc on this line and also on this line. And then we will take half of this angle. So from here, from this point to this point, will be the radius for the diode. So we take that length, we stand at this point, and then we draw a circle. We draw a circle here. That's going to be our diode. And so the radius of this diode for length from here to here is the same as the length from here to here. So in the question, it says we should label the ground pivot of the diode as O2. So here is O2, and the joint between the crank and the coupler as A. Okay, so here is going to be A1, A2, and then for the link EF04, EF04, this link we should label here also B1, B2. That's the point on it. Okay, so after that, it says connect Okay, so we are done with the wiper at the passenger side. So now you're going to do the same thing for the driver side. So for the driver side, the same procedure. You are going to join G1 to G2, and then you join H1 to H2 with a straight line. And then you stand at G2, you open more than half, you draw an arc, you draw an arc. You stand at G1, you open more than half, you draw an arc, you draw an arc. And then you draw a line to pass through it. You're going to get a line like this. Let me erase the arc lines or the arc. Okay. So this is line. This line right here is line is the perpendicular bisector of line G1, G2. And then we do same for line H1, H2. We are going to bisect H1, H2. So we stand at, I think it's okay. I'm not going to do the arcs again. So we are just going to bisect H1, H2. The intersection should be somewhere here. No, the intersection of that line should be somewhere here. Yes. So this is the perpendicular bisector of H1, H2. So where they meet, where the H1, H2 intersect with G1, G2, we are going to call that point O6 from the question. We are following the question. So yeah, that intersection should be O6. And now you join H1 to O6. Join H1 to O6. And then you join H2 to O6. It's a straight line. And now you are going to add a coupler from you are going to, you see in the question says that we should extend the coupler from EF. So the coupler, this is the coupler, this is the coupler. The question says we should extend this coupler so that the same diode would control the movement of this wiper here. So the same thing we are going to, because you see this angle is oriented, this angle, there's an angle here. Let me use a red marker. So this angle, look, this angle, you are going to measure this angle. You're going to measure this angle. So when you measure this angle, and let's say this angle, I think I got 70 degrees. So 70 degrees. So you're going to measure this angle and then you divide it by 2. You're going to get 35. 35. And then you draw a vertical line. And then you place your protractor on it in this way. You place your protractor on it in this way. And ensure that this vertical line is in line with the 90-degree mark. You measure 35. You measure 35. And now you remove your protractor. After removing your protractor, you draw a line, pass through the 35 mark. You draw a line to pass through the 35 mark. So that's how you are going to ensure that the angle here is in a way that a horizontal coupler could attach to this link. Yes. So after that, you open your compass. You stand at O6. You open your compass to any arbitrary radius. But I would advise when you are doing this part, extend this line. Extend the line A1, A2 or A1, B1. Extend it till it touches this link. Yes. So when it touches this link, that's all. You are going to get this point. The question says we should label the rocker. I mean the point of attachment of the coupler and then the link GH06 as C1, C2. So this is how we are going to get. So in the question, all the mechanism or the moving parts should all stay within this boundary. They should all stay here. Let me use highlighter too. indicates it. So everything should stay here. Everything should stay within this. So this is just a rough sketch. That is why C2 is almost at the edge of the line RS. But you are going to use a compass and your measurements are going to be more accurate. So it should be far away from the C2 should be far away from SR. So that's how you are going to get the coupler to move um, the coupler from the E1, E2, no E1, F1, the coupler from here. So you are going to this is what you are going to get. The coupler. The coupler here is A2 to B2. And then you extend that coupler from B2 to C2 so that when the diode moves back and forth, it's going to move both B1 and B2 as well as C1 and C2. So a single diode is controlling two mechanisms. It's controlling both wipers. So that's this. This is the construction part. This is what you are going to get. And then I think um the question 3F says check for Grashof. So Grashof, you are going to measure the length, the crank. So Grashof, you need crank. To check for Grashof, you need the crank length. You need a crank. You need your ground. You need your coupler. And then you need your rocker. So the crank, this is the, oh, sorry. Oh, where is the lines over here? Oh, okay. So for Grashof, we need a crank. We need a coupler. We need a rocker. We need a ground. So the ground is from O2 to O4. This is the ground. The ground is from here to here. O2 to O4. This is your ground. And your rocker is from O4 to B1. So let me write it here. So rocker O4 B1. Crank is equal to O2 A1. Coupler is equal to A1 B1. And then your ground is equal to O2 O4. So you measure this length. And for Grashof, Grashof says that the shortest plus the longest should be less than or equal to any other length. K plus, is it P plus K? Yeah, K plus P or P plus K. Yes. So you measure the length you are going to get based on your construction. So the smallest length that you are going to get plus the longest side, it's likely that your longest side is going to be the ground. So the shortest plus the longest should be less than the other two. They are four. So you calculate this, you measure this, you measure this, you measure this, and then you look through the one with the shortest. You add it to the one having the highest or the longest link. My less than or equal to the other two. They should always be less than or equal to. Yes. Because if they are not less than or equal to the other two links, then this crank cannot rotate. Okay, so let's go to F. You see measure distance from O4S. So O4, this is O4 to S. From O4, from O4 to S. You measure this length. Let me use a different color. Let's use red. Oh, let's highlight that. Let me use red. Let me use red. So you measure this length O4 to S. That's O4S. You measure that length, and then you measure the distance O6S from here to here. So you measure O4S, O6S. You measure the magnitude of these lines. O4 to S, O6 to S. And then you measure angles EF and GH. So this angle EF, um, EF and GF, the angles EF and GH move through from one toggle position to another. So angle EF is going to move through. You see, the length from here to here is actually EF, and it's going to complete this whole angle. So you measure this angle, that's the angle EF, as well as you measure the angle from G. The angle G1 is going to complete till we get to G2. So you measure this angle as well. Measure this angle. But don't measure the angle from here. Measure it from the pivot, O4. You measure this small angle over here. And then you measure this angle over here. And yeah, so that's all. That's all for this assignment. Yeah. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Oh, don't like